me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
We need them. Yeah. We may need them more than ever today. Talking about those strategies, huh? Those strategies for living. Are you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
Well, I've been just sitting here, and so I think I'm ready.
Yeah. Sitting here is good.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, welcome. Welcome into another edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillian, and she's just sitting there. Like the old soul that she is, PLPC Lauren Leon McMillian.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess that's all a mule can do, honey.
Yeah, well, you do tease me about being an old woman.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll give a little glimpse into the evening time.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm listening.
I don't know many people who wear a sleeping cap,
Yeah.
But you do.
I do.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
I think there's more than you think.
There's probably is. But we're getting off course because to be on course, what we're going to talk about today and what we're going to revisit is how much wisdom have we lost? What did our grandmothers? And I just quoted mine. That's all a mule can do, honey.
That's right.
It was one of her sayings. But what did our grandmothers know intuitively?
Right.
That we probably could benefit by revisiting today.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of wisdom.
There's a lot.
It's not that we've lost it, but perhaps right now we are ignoring it.
Yeah, I mean, as the new quote unquote research comes out, we come up with new terms and ideas. But I think part of what we'll talk about today probably is that our grandmothers knew those things. They just didn't call them that.
Yeah.
Right?
What did your grandmother know that we need to revisit today? Folks, thank you for tuning in to Strategies. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate our sponsors making it possible. The Robinson Film Center, Azalea Cleaners, Pintail Roofing, Learning RX. We train your brain. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, pretty good muffies too, Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. We're going to dive into some grandmotherly wisdom today, revisiting it as it is here on Strategies.
Tune in daily, find the light. Healthy mind and spirits bright. Strategies for living strong. Feel the vibe, it won't go wrong. Body moves and soul align. Catch the rhythm, feel the time. Radio rehab every day. Chase those clouds of gray away. Your daily dose of radio rehab. Lift you up when skies seem drab. Mind and body, spirits free. Living life in harmony.
And welcome into another edition of Strategies for Living. Lauren, Leon McMillian, David McMillian, talking about, we're revisiting what our grandmothers knew that perhaps we would benefit greatly by. taking another look at. Our grandmothers didn't talk about nervous system regulation, and I never heard mine talk about that anyway.
No,
mine. Mine was here. Sit down and eat this plate of. Well, it depended on what grandmother, because I got Cajun food. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Chicken fricassee. Sit down and eat this, stuffed bell pepper chicken fricassee.
And I think we'll talk about that's one of the things that she knew.
Yeah. The other grandmother, it was peach cobbler. But, in any case,
yeah,
they didn't talk about nervous system regulation. They didn't talk about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, the vagal tone, and they didn't. I don't think I ever heard them say burnout.
No, I think that's a relatively new term, probably because they hadn't. They may have experienced it to some degree, but they had these intuitive tools. Well, not even tools. Tools is what I think we've come to call them today, because we've invented them to counteract the dysregulating world that we've evolved into. And so really, we're even talking maybe even before your grandmother, right? But,
certainly.
Right?
Yeah.
But overall, the time people lived in rhythms, natural rhythms.
Most definitely.
Which helped to naturally regulate the nervous system.
And it supported calm. It supported connection.
Mm-hmm.
It also supported recovery. I mean, so perhaps, Lauren, we have not lost our resilience in any way, shape, or form. Perhaps we've lost our rhythm.
Yeah. Well, and in a lot of ways, we've disconnected from the natural rhythm, from the rhythm of nature, from which we came.
We've just experienced that. We are experiencing it now. I mean, we're in winter.
Right. And I think, I think this is one of the things that our quote unquote grandmothers knew and respected was the natural slowdown around this time of year.
Yeah.
Because if we go back, we don't have to go too far back in history to see when all of the hoopla and the consumerism and the rush around the quote unquote holidays began. Not within the too recent past, right? Because before that, I think we recognized that winter is a natural time of slowing down and going inward.
Yeah.
Whereas in today's society, we expect this consistent performance.
Yeah.
And output.
Perform. And no wonder, we talk about burnout today. But before modern life, I mean, regulation wasn't a tool. It was just a byproduct of how life was lived. Life was structured. And, we try to add regulation on top of dysregulated systems today. And we wonder, oh gosh, even things like meditation, okay? Mm-hmm. Even things when we try to add meditation into our busy...
I think our ancestors would look at what we call meditation and would say, oh yeah, sure. I mean, we did that, but we didn't call it that.
We didn't label
and we didn't
give
it, we didn't have to set aside time for it, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because there were moments in between, in the day, in between where we would sit, right?
Now we have meditation apps and we have meditation trackers and we have productivity hacks. I mean, my God, my goodness, we stress ourselves out just with trying to regulate, quote unquote, perfectly. Is that an oxymoron or what?
Yeah, definitely. Well, because the idea, I think, and you bring up a good point, because I think a lot of times when people think of, well, I have a regulated nervous system, that looks like consistent calm. And that's not at all. No, right? Because a regulated nervous system simply means that it responds appropriately, right? So there are times that it is appropriate for us to enter what we call a sympathetic nervous state, right?
Yeah.
Like when we are having needing to rush or to hurry, but it shouldn't be an ongoing background state. And that's when it becomes a problem, when we're always in that place of fight, flight, or freeze. And our bodies are just not meant to handle that. And that's what greatly contributes to all of the disease that we see in the world.
Think about all of the slow and repetitive handwork that our grandmothers and great-grandmothers just did.
Right.
Sewing, knitting, mending, cross-stitching, quilting.
Yep. Crocheting.
Crocheting. Hours of gentle, rhythmic hand movement. No screens, no urgency, no output metrics, right?
Right.
And so, why did that work so well?
Well, I mean, on a neurological level, right? That rhythmic, but not only rhythmic, a lot of those things are bilateral. You're using both hands rhythmically, right? And so that calms the nervous system, which is very similar to a lot of techniques that we have quote unquote created today.
EMDR,
right.
for instance, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, which has been studied, tremendously. Found to be effective. What does it do? It uses bilateral brain stimulation, either through eye movement or auditory stimulus
somatic,
or some type of
sensorial, kinesthetic, which is what the quote unquote grandma hobbies that you're talking about engage.
Right.
And this is one that I engage in.
Yeah, you do.
And I can feel, I mean, there's a reason that I do it. And it is less about, sure, I enjoy creating, and that's a big part of it.
Sure, you love the output.
But I call it an active meditation, because when you get into that state, it's a flow state. Of feeling the texture of, I crochet, so there's yarn involved. So I feel the yarn, and it's a repetitive over and over stitch that you do. Right. And so you get into a flow where I actually am able to tap in to just kind of a flow state. And obviously our ancestors, we might label them grandmothers, but I'm sure there were some grandfathers who did it too, right?
Not that they'd let you see.
Right. Well, I mean, you could think of grandfathers doing similar things, just not, similar repetitive tasks, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of any in particular offhand, but
Well,
I know there were some.
Oh, sure. I mean, it depends on the context. But if you were on the farm, you did repetitive.
Right.
If you were working on a car engine, you did repetitive. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's lots of lots of the same things. It's just a matter of what was quote unquote okay for what was okay for men to do back then and for women to do back then, right?
And so now I think we're living in this time, right, where we really do have then, therefore, the best of both worlds, right? We have this knowledge of nervous system regulation and what it does and how we can access it.
And yet, what do? We our hands are scrolling, we're clicking, we're gripping, we're if you're gaming on your phone, and lots of us do, it's a lot of those games are about micro movements.
It's about novelty and stimulation.
In fact, it's about dopamine.
Right.
It's about, flooding our system with dopamine.
Instant gratification.
Right.
Yeah. And we've replaced that rhythm with constant stimulation to the point where I don't think we realize how overstimulated we are, because on top of those quick random movements and clicking are the things that we don't even recognize on a conscious level that's happening, which are the blue light levels that are coming from those screens.
Right.
The constant flickering that are actually happening from the screens that we don't see per se consciously, but our subconscious definitely picks up on the constant flickering. That's what light emitting diodes do.
Yeah.
They flicker in order to conserve energy, but we are
And the
beginning
flicker,
to,
we don't pick up on the conscious level.
right.
But our
Ooh,
eyes and our
bodies,
system, our
bodies
bodies
respond, and
to
we're
it and get it.
learning that.
Yeah.
We're learning that through new studies that are coming out about the fluorescent lighting that and the LED lighting. Has greatly contributed to things like attention deficit disorder in
Absolutely.
classrooms. Right.
So the invitation is, the strategy would be, you may not want to take up knitting, but what can you do that fits into this rhythmic, using your hands and getting into the rhythm? Well, gardening
and preferably screenless.
and screenless, gardening,
Mm-hmm.
doing puzzles, old timey puzzles, bread making.
I do that one.
So I mean, there's lots of things. Crocheting, yeah, and you're doing this stuff not to produce, but in order to soothe, to just get into the rhythm of entering the rhythm,
The flow state.
the flow. Our grandmothers didn't call it getting into the flow state.
No.
And yet, when you step back and observe a lot of what they did, they got there. They got into the flow.
Yeah.
Things that our grandmothers did and knew that we need to revisit today. What have we lost touch with? That's what we're focusing on today here on Strategies for Living. We've got more to come, more to think about here on Strategies. That's what we do.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there, looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab strategies.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian, talking today about what did our grandmothers know, and our great-grandmothers and great-great-grandmothers. What did they know? And grandfathers too, and great-grandfathers. What did they know?
What did our ancestors
know that we've lost touch with today, that it would behoove us to revisit, take a look at? We were talking about that getting into that flow state.
Yeah, with the repetitive tasks, repetitive non-screen tasks, which, put your brain in that whole brain, put your body in the whole brain state.
Yeah.
Right, and reconnect you with flow.
So one of the things, and I wish I still had it, for years, I had my grandmother's porch swing. She didn't have the rocking chair was inside, in front of her TV. And, one of the things you didn't do is you didn't disturb her at noon, because that's when she called it her story.
Right,
her soap opera came on. And so you did not bother her between noon and 1.
I don't know how nervous system regulating soap operas are.
But maybe not. But
the
rocking was. So she offset it. But on the front porch was one of those swings, that you sat in and rocked.
Right.
Back and forth. And I loved that. And
like the ones that they sell in front of Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a nice front porch swing.
We do.
That I enjoy when we're able to use it.
So what did our ancestors do? They sat without justification.
Yeah.
They rested. They rested without tracking. Mm-hmm. They rocked without optimizing. Right.
Yeah. And they didn't need a justification, right? They didn't apologize. But in addition, it didn't have to be framed as self-care, right? It was simply part of the day.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's some things like the rocking, right? It's instinctive.
Well, and it matters because gentle rocking stimulates the vestibular system.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the parasympathetic response. It activates that.
Right.
And stillness teaches the nervous system that, okay, you can calm.
Right. Well,
Stand down.
so the vestibular system, right, is what orients you into time and space,
Right.
where you are in place, right?
Right.
And so that gentle rocking, which regulates that system, which is in the inner ear, by the way, for those that are curious, those slow, repetitive movements tells the nervous system that you're safe and supported. I mean, think about our instinct when we have a young child who needs soothing. We rock,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
We rock or we bounce or we get up and we kind of sway, right? Because again, that's that gentle, instinctive, gentle movement which will calm the nervous system.
Isn't it strange that to so many young people, and by young people I'm talking about under 40. I wouldn't have defined it like that many years ago, but now, yeah. But the challenge to all that we're talking about is to many young people, not all, but many, stillness feels unsafe.
Yeah, well, especially when they've grown up in a world of constant stimulation and
rest feels like failure.
right. Well,
Yeah.
and that's kind of compounded over generations for different reasons and different stories that we've iterated through generations about hard work, about productivity being your worth, and then of course we've got this Western society where you have to produce in order and you have to consume in order to be a productive citizen.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas, our ancestors, I think, recognized to some degree that cycle of, rest is just as important, if not more important than the doing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we don't have to
And
go
you
too
didn't
far.
you didn't have to earn your rest,
Right.
Lauren. It was just, there was an assumption made that, okay, there are times to rest. I mean, when I was a little boy, everything virtually shut down on Sunday.
Yeah.
We've over my lifetime, I watched that get eaten away. But we had a thing called the Blue Laws, where unless you were extra essential,
Right.
you didn't open.
And now there are people who get very upset to the few companies who decide to still say
Yeah,
Sunday is we're going to be closed.
we're going to be closed.
Right.
Yeah, and those by some people that gets applauded, but by some people that gets criticized, and they get labeled and set aside for that.
Right. Well, another challenge I think that we have faced in acknowledging being able to sit still and rest are the constant stimulation of our devices, right? And if you've grown up in a household where you're used to this chaos and constant stimulation, quiet can feel threatening. And so this is shifted into what a lot of people are now recognizing as what we call doom scrolling, right?
Right.
You get on your social media of choice and you just keep going because that's an addictive, constant stimulation of the nervous system.
Here's something to try. Try sitting for 5 minutes with no goal at all, and no phone, and no counting your breaths. No projects, no improvement project on board. Just sitting, just sitting with no goal, and see what that feels like.
Yeah, and I'm going to add just notice, be aware, right? So when inevitably the thoughts pop up that, oh, I've got to do something, or I need to do this and this, when your to-do list pops up, notice the discomfort. And don't judge it.
Tune into your body.
Don't judge it
Yeah.
and watch it and recognize, wow, this is the degree to which my upbringing and society in combination has trained me, right? Just to be aware.
So many of us have lost touch with our bodies, you know,
Yes.
and it's like your body will tell you what you need to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
If you tune into it.
If you're able to tune in.
If you're able to tune in. And so many of us have lost that ability, and that's something that we need to look at getting back. We can get it back, but it's about some of what we're talking about today.
Right. Well, and
awareness and the ability to refocus, you know, from the outer stimulation to the inner messages.
Once you tune in to the inner world, you'll recognize how much is there, how much depth is there, right?
Absolutely.
And once the body remembers that it's allowed to be still, right? You can start to remember what safety feels like, because I think that's what's missing. That's what we've given away over and over again, is that suddenly stillness feels unsafe.
Yeah.
And that is so backwards from the natural, what we need to do naturally.
Right.
Right? I mean, the body needs the stillness in order to repair and heal.
That's another thing our grandparents and great-grandparents knew.
Yeah.
They knew about using light, natural light, and they, you know, we talk about circadian rhythm today, right?
Yep.
Our grandparents didn't talk about circadian rhythm. When the morning light came, they got up. That was wakefulness.
Right.
When darkness set in, that was rest.
Right.
And they also saw the rhythm of this and responded naturally to the seasonal shifts. Those mattered.
Right.
We kind of go against all of that today.
No. Yeah.
But you know, it worked because light regulates both cortisol and melatonin.
Right.
Right.
So the morning light tells the cortisol when to rise, right?
Right.
In fact, your cortisol spikes. It is at its highest naturally first thing in the morning when you wake up. And you can do yourself a huge favor. We know this now with data, what our ancestors obviously knew intuitively. If you allow yourself to get out and get unfiltered sunlight in the morning, you can naturally reset your body's rhythm and align it to the day, right? Because the ancestors, they followed the day. They didn't fight it the way that we do.
And nature, our nervous systems are part of nature, and nature and our nervous systems thrive on predictability.
Right. And they rely on signals.
Yeah.
Not discipline, which I think is something that another way that we have completely disconnected ourselves from nature is that we think there's some sort of egoic willpower that needs to be enforced. But if we allow our bodies to do what they do naturally and to take in the natural cycles, there's no discipline needed.
Do you give yourself some morning light before you look at your phone screen or computer screen or tablet screen? You know, in the evening, do you dim the lights earlier than might feel quote unquote normal? And, maybe look at sleep not as an indulgence, but as, hey,
it's a necessity.
This is a necessity.
And this is something
health.
I'm going to give to myself.
Yeah, it's not indulgence. It's regulation. It's in the rhythm of life. We are talking today here on Strategies about things that our grandmothers, great-grandmothers, and grandfathers too knew that we probably need to look at again today and maybe recapture some of it. Might be for a healthier life this year. Talking about it today here on Strategies for Living. We've got more. Stay with us. More to come.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along
way. We need strategies, strategies, strategies for living radio.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian. What did our grandparents, what did our grandmothers, grandfathers, what did they know that we need to revisit today? You know, well, I had one grandmother that lived 2 doors down. That was my mother's mother. My father's mother lived over on Rutherford, within walking distance of what was back then Safeway.
Right.
It's now a Brookshire's, but back in the day it was Safeway.
Sure.
And my grandmother would cook a meal every day. And if we were lucky, she'd call us and say, hey, I've got chicken fricassee, or I've got stuffed bell peppers, or I've got, it didn't matter what it was going to be incredible when you sat down at her round table.
Yeah.
But she would walk down to Safeway and argue with the produce manager every morning.
Part of her routine.
Yeah, part of her routine. What have you got that that I can get for a bargain today, right?
Yeah.
So she would, even if he didn't have bell peppers that maybe were a little bit bruised, she would talk him into
bruising them
a little bit, so probably so that he could get her out of his hair.
She probably distracted him and beat him up while he wasn't looking.
And that's I know that about what she did to the produce manager. No telling what she did back in the meat department.
Oh Lord!
But
but that's something that they knew, right?
Yeah,
about real food.
Yeah,
not just real food, but real food made slowly, eaten slowly,
and prepared with love.
Yeah,
and by love I mean time, attention,
care, effort,
and then sitting down and eating together.
So one of the coolest studies that that I've come to know about is they were studying cholesterol. I think it was in rabbits, and so they fed them a terrible diet just to see what would happen. And there was one group of rabbits whose cholesterol was not spiking in the same way that the other rabbits who were eating the same diet.
Right.
And so when they investigated, they realized that group of rabbits were all under a particular researcher. And what that researcher was doing, come to find out, was actually hand feeding the rabbits.
Oh, wow.
She was taking the rabbits, holding them, petting them while feeding them, which brought researchers to the conclusion and to come to investigate that the way that we eat, our state of mind, and the way that we are thinking and feeling when we ingest our food is actually more important than what we eat.
Yeah. And think about the way a lot of us eat today.
Right.
We eat at our desk. We eat while we're working. We eat while we're driving. We eat while we're scrolling. In other words,
we eat to survive.
Yeah.
Or eat to live rather than live to eat.
So our bodies are never getting the message that it's safe to digest, like those rabbits. Obviously it was okay.
Right. And another thing you mentioned that I think I'm glad that we're finally coming around to recognizing, I think, what we have done to the food system as a whole. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
we're certainly more in tune to it now than we've been in the past.
Right. We could do a whole show, and I think we ought to, on that in particular. That's, of course, one of my soapboxes, that what we've done in terms of making ultra-processed food and specifically making them more addictive with research and scientific methods and tools, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what our grandmothers knew was to use whole foods and even to grow their own fruits and vegetables to make with love, right? As you said, the whole process of making a meal, that energy goes into the food that will then truly nourish our bodies.
So here's a strategy. Could you possibly make one meal a day or even if you can't do one meal a day, maybe 5 meals a week, 3 meals a week, make a start without any multitasking, where you're just focused on making the meal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or if you can't even do that, I would challenge you to just become more mindful of your eating, right? So when you sit down for a meal, really take a few deep breaths, thank the food in front of you, get yourself in a positive...
Blessing the food makes a difference.
Yep.
And we've demonstrated that in workshops.
Yeah, energetically.
Energetically,
right?
we've shown
it's not
that,
about it's not about a religious ceremony. It's about recognizing the energy and appreciating, expressing gratitude for the life, whether it be plant or animal, that will soon become part of your life.
Right.
Right.
So another strategy is to how you treat a meal. Can you treat a meal as an anchor to your day, not an interruption to the day? You know?
Yeah, because you could think of it, fast food trains a fast nervous system.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've done. The other thing is community and sharing rituals together. What did our grandparents have? They had predictable social rhythms. They went to the church halls. They went to they went to the neighbors. They had family tables. There was shared silence. There were also periods of shared laughter. Maybe that's one of the things in the Louisiana culture that we're lucky. Maybe we haven't lost all of that down south, right?
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully not.
But it was the idea, when we lived in smaller communal groups that, okay, sure, you would have arguments and things that you disagreed on. I mean, that's humanity. As long as there's different people involved, there are going to be things that you butt heads on. Right. But living in community and in a way that you needed to rely on each other really forces, I think, the issue of coming together through conflict. Yeah. Which I think we have a tendency to completely avoid today.
So reflect on this. Who or what, do you get involved in group-wise that helps your nervous system just kind of settle? Where do you go where, you're known, you feel known, but you don't feel like you have to perform?
Yeah, where you can truly be yourself.
You can truly be yourself. You can relax and just be you. Be home.
Yeah, because connection distributes that load and makes you feel more co-regulated.
We could probably go on and on with this, but hopefully...
I think it could be a series.
Yeah, it probably needs to be. But, I mean, hopefully today we've, sparked some imagination and started maybe some idea starters. We're still new in the year.
Maybe you could pick up an old habit.
Yeah, yeah. Think back to what your grandparents and your great-grandparents knew and did that maybe we've lost track of today. Talking about it today right here on Strategies for Living. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian with her. It's not time for you to put your sleeping cap on yet.
Not yet.
No.
The sun's out,
Yeah.
and so am I.
Yeah, there you go. What our grandmothers knew that we need to revisit today. That's what we've been talking about here on Strategies for Living. What's your big takeaway or takeaways from what we've talked about today, Lauren?
Well, when we look at how our ancestors lived, I don't think they were more resilient at all because life was easier. I don't want us to look back and say, well, they didn't have all of these other things, and so it was easier. Because I think it actually, in a lot of ways, was much harder.
Might have been harder.
Right.
Yeah.
But they what they managed to do was to live in rhythm, which built into their daily lives, right? They didn't have to go against the natural flow of their own bodies and nature itself.
Right.
So their nervous systems weren't constantly asked to override their natural biology. So we live in this time where we do have all of this knowledge of parasympathetic regulation and vagal tone and all of these new words to actually describe what our ancestors knew. And so we really live in a wonderful time where we can do the best of both worlds, where maybe in what small way can we readapt the small rhythmic movements, the eating well, the connecting with self and others into our lives.
Lots to think about. Thank you, Lauren. Folks, thank you. We appreciate you being a part of Strategies for Living, and we appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, Azalea Cleaners, Pintail Roofing,
Oof, oof.
Learning RX, we train your brain. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, pretty good Muffies too. Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call to make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillian, I'm David McMillian. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.